With the winning of the New York Democratic primary by Zohran Mamdani, a new conversation has started on the direction of the Democratic Party. In my eyes, there are two factions competing for control: the old guard of neoliberals like the Clintons and the new Cosmopolitans. While the old guard is on edge about being replaced, it is because of their own policies that led to this inter-party power struggle. They opened up the floodgates of immigration into the United States. Now they are reaping what they have sown. The old guard is your regular run-of-the-mill Democratic politician like Chuck Schumer or Joe Biden, the ones that wrap their liberalism in an American flag to the point where you can still feel patriotic while voting for them. These Democrats, while liberal, have long ancestral roots in America. They know what it means to grow up American and can make arguments as to why their idea of how society should run, while relating to Americans who have strong generational roots. Then there are the new cosmopolitans, the naturalized Americans who don't have any roots in the country, the ones that have embraced the ideas of wokeness and resentment toward the generational Americans. These people do not have policies that relate to Americans. Their entire voting base relies on other cosmopolitans entering the country via mass migration as well as self-hating Americans. These people have no qualms about endorsing ideas that normal people find repulsive. Yes, I am talking transgenderism, mass legalization of illegal aliens, defunding the police, destroying American cultural sites, the idea of white privilege, anti-colonialism in the American context, and other things. The fact that America's largest city can be hijacked by such ideas is testament to how large the problem has gotten. This isn't solely the fault of the cosmopolitan faction, mind you. The Democratic Old Guard directly supported the policies that led to the birth and festering of the cosmopolitans. Decades worth of ignoring the border as well as expanding illegal immigration led to this. So many ideologically compatibles were let in legally throughout the 20th century. Most of the early socialist movement was led by these ideological incompatibles who came through Ellis Island. For example, J. Lovestone, a prominent communist, was originally named Jacob Liebstein and was from the Russian Empire. He became a leading member of the Communist Party USA. Now, mind you, Lovestone eventually became anti-communist later in life, but my point still stands here. Alfred Wagenknecht, who was critical to the establishment of the Communist Party USA, was a legal immigrant from Germany. He was initially a socialist before splitting off the left-wing section of the Socialist Party, which merged into the CPUSA. Then we have William Z. Foster, leader of the Trade Union Educational League and Communist Party chairman from 1924 through 1934, and then again from 1945 to 1957. He was born to Irish parents who were revolutionaries back home. Granted, it is important to remember that while the people mentioned previously were communists, they did generally believe in working class power and activism, which is now used as window dressing for the modern cosmopolitans. With the passage of Hart-Celler in 1965, these ideological incompatibles could now come from anywhere, not just Europe. They could come from Africa, Asia, India, the Middle East, anywhere at all. Now, the difference between the new ideological incompatibles and the old ones I mentioned before is location and how that impacts their beliefs. The Lovestones, Fosters, Wagenknechts came from Europe. Their ideological outlook, though subversive, was still Western and European at the end of the day. The new cosmopolitans, however, do not share these values. Their outlook is anti-Western. They believe that Western countries are inherently evil because of past colonialism. They hate white people because of things that happened generations ago. While their politics might act like they are for the working class, like those of the previously mentioned, that is all just window dressing. Their true goal is the destruction of the West itself and the atonement of Westerners for crimes committed. Now, I'm going to go into a bit of a tangent here. Um, Basically, what a speculative future, you could say, of what this new cosmopolitan republic would look like should these cosmopolitans get their way. And I'm going to start that right now. So, everything from now until the end of the piece is purely speculative. Now, should the cosmopolitan get their way and become a majority in government, America as a concept will not be allowed to exist. Remember, to them, America is a colonialist project built on genocide and thievery. There will be no more United States of America. There will only be the Cosmopolitan Republic, a territory with no official borders, no law enforcement, a weakened military where everyone is allowed to do whatever they want without consequence, a den of hedonism. It would be a state of anarcho-tyranny, where criminals will be allowed free rein and normal people punished for trying to stop them. Supposed racism will be punished. A social justice score will be enacted. Things will just stop working as the entire purpose of government will be to do whatever they can to please any and every fringe group that sees themselves as marginalized and oppressed. Educational standards will be lowered as concepts such as mathematics, physics, and proper English are deemed racist and done away with. History will focus on the crimes of the United States of America. This will lead to a dumbed-down new generation driven by selfishness and grievance. Holidays such as Independence Day, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, Flag Day, President's Day, etc., are all abolished as symbols of the old regime are destroyed. The office of the President, the Supreme Court, and the Senate are also done away with as remnants of oppression. There is no singular head of state, as power is concentrated in what was the House of Representatives, now known as the Intersectionality Assembly, where representatives are gathered from the many groups of the territory instead of being elected via district. The daily duties of the assembly are stonewalled by the constant apologetics and acknowledgments of privilege between different groups who think they are more oppressed than the others and should get a greater say. Taxes are raised on the wealthy, but the wealthy have long since fled as they can afford to do so, and because of this, the taxes that the wealthy should be paying are brought on the middle and lower classes. The Republic's infrastructure starts to break down because the people who would have upkept them see no more incentive to work for a country that hates them. Younger people are raised in the new educational system will not have the knowledge to build them, as that knowledge requires the input of fields deemed racist. Bridges will collapse, potholes will make roads hard to navigate, planes will crash, ships will sink, buildings will start to become unstable and also collapse due to negligence, water quality will decrease. Quality of life will decrease as the knowledge required for adequate healthcare, social services, logistics, and other things we take for granted now declines. This is despite all of these politicians' emphasis on education. Reparations will be given to minorities, paid for by a tax on whites. Even whites whose ancestors didn't partake in slavery or got here after slavery was well abolished will be expected to pay into the reparations pot, furthering racial resentment. The concept of whiteness itself will be seen as evil, and white children will be taught to hate themselves for the color of their skin. After all, the whites were the ones who were better at conquest than everyone else, even though everyone did it, but they omit this fact. The police will be abolished in favor of community watches and social workers. The legal system will be non-existent as America used English common law, a relic of colonialism. Jails will be emptied. Eventually, it will get to a point where the Cosmopolitan Republic doesn't even really control the entirety of the territory it is constituted of. They might only really control the capital city and a couple others. But things will get bad enough to where major cities will be controlled by gangs, and mind you, the capital city, while it should be in Washington, D.C., is not named Washington, D.C. because of obvious reasons. Now, if not gangs, then warlordism will rise, as regular folks like you or I, who would have had enough band together to protect our own from said gangs and bandits and a government that is unable and unwilling to do anything for us. All in all, the Cosmopolitan Republic from the outside would look like a state where true social justice had been achieved, while being complete and utter chaos on the inside. You might think my description of what happens in the Republic is exaggerated, but with what these people advocate today, is it really that hard to draw these conclusions? I don't think so. Now, I'm hoping that the future I describe does not come to pass. I'd really like to continue living in a country that is proud of its traditions, its heritage, and one that at least tries to protect its people from harm. Now, I blasted Democrats in the early parts of this piece. I am not saying that Republicans are free from blame. No, this problem transcends party lines, more so with Republicans failing to take the issue seriously, while Democrats just ignore it altogether. There needs to be a radical shift in the way subversive elements are treated in this country. We cannot have people who hate us to be in positions of power. We cannot be accommodating to every single fringe group that has a gripe. Western civilization and the United States of America must be defended from those who wish to destroy us. This is non-negotiable. No longer must Americans be drawn in by the song of social justice, because it is only justice to them and not to you. Also, as a side note, feel free to comment your own take about how the Cosmopolitan Republic would function, or the policies within it. Have fun. This concept is meant to be ridiculous because the policies most of these people advocate for are already ridiculous. This has been Oceanus. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe and comment if you like the video. Have a good night, everybody.